Good morning. Happy Friday. I can't believe how fast this week went by. It literally has just been flying. So another weekend upon us. And this is something that I always think about. Like I'm thinking about this leading up to the whole weekend. I feel like I do great with my nutrition and my journey and all the things. And then as soon as Thursday, Friday rolls around, I start thinking about all the mistakes that I make on the weekends. And this has been a real big struggle for me for as long as I can remember. Like literally when I first started my fitness journey, it was in order so that I could eat and drink whatever I wanted to all weekend long. We literally started in college, realizing we were gaining that freshman 15 just like everybody else. And we thought, well, maybe if we go and walk on the treadmill or run or go to the gym or whatever, that this would like offset that, right? So it kind of did. It kind of kept things at bay. And then I took that terrible habit with me into my life. When I got out of college, I went into things like insanity and P90X. And like, I thought if I just worked hard enough during the week and underate, that I could overdo it on the weekends. And I did. I did that for a lot of years. It sort of worked, I guess, in the beginning. It probably obviously was not the healthiest path, but it was a bad habit. And so I've had to work really hard to like out-train my mind to get over and make changes, right? So I thought that this was super appropriate. I know that I cannot be alone when it comes to overeating on the weekends, messing up. I feel like this is the biggest struggle with anyone because it's our chance to let our hair down from a busy work week, right? It's a chance to relax. And when we're not in a routine, which is where I find myself when I'm not in a routine, that's when things start to fall apart. And you don't have a plan and that kind of stuff during the week. You have things in place, right? You're doing things, you have kids, you're working, whatever the things, and your routine is in place. And then the weekend is your chance to relax. And I think that was also my mentality too, that it was a chance to like let my hair down, relax, and not be so rigid with my nutrition during the week. And then that's when things fell apart. So I wanted to share with you guys, I have some really awesome tips. I have some, thoughts that I want to share with you. I think it's super common for us to set ourselves up for failure when we set up such a strict plan for ourselves, right? So that's a big part of the process is learning what you need in order to be successful. And, using the right terminology and the way that we talk to ourselves and different things like that. So wanting to give you guys these tips, I want you guys to think about this stuff. And then if you have questions, please fire away, drop them below. Number one is that being good enough is better than perfect, because I feel like with strict meals, it sets you up for, a binge, right? You set the expectation so high. I'm going to be perfect on day one. I'm going to do the fitness. I'm going to do the nutrition. And then when you can't meet that expectation, then you fall down, you beat yourself up, and you have more cheats than you normally would. And I don't like to use that word cheat too. I feel like that's also incorrect terminology. We want to talk about food in a healthy, positive way. So it's a treat, right? And you've planned for it. You're not having cheats and then you fall off the wagon and so on and so forth, right? Having a strict plan that you're following and not having some balance is going to set you up for binging and overdoing it, right? And that is something that we can take control of. So instead, eating moderately throughout the week, right? It's going to keep you more sane. It's going to, help you to feel better, help you to feel more balanced. I always talk about the 80-20 rule. We also talk about within our meal plans, how we work in the treats, right? So you have set amount of food you're eating throughout the day and you want to have a glass of wine tonight, or you want to have a cake or a slice of pizza or whatever it might be. So we work it into your day so you're not overdoing it. You're still fulfilling those cravings for what you're wanting and needing in those treats, but it's part of your plan and you've planned on it. So in your mind, it's part of the plan and you're not freaked out and you're not stressing out about going off plan because it's part of the plan, right? And it's going to keep you sane. Number 2 tip is to let go of food rules, right? We put so much pressure on ourselves by this is good, this is a bad food, this is okay, this is not okay. If you try to just focus on eating and fueling and thinking about the importance of the nutrients, without setting up all these rules like low carb, low fat, this and this and all these things that we're seeing all over the place, you're going to just set yourself up for disaster. So I think it's when you are pinning yourself to a certain strict plan, you find that that's not sustainable. Because that's a big part of it too. I'm always talking about like, what is the best nutrition plan to be on? And it's the one that's sustainable for you, the one that works for you, right? So you have to think about it as, how can I handle this? How can I manage this for so long, right? And how important it is. And I think too, another big part of that is to follow how you feel, right? What I learned over time too is that the bad foods don't make me feel as good as the good foods. And I just said, don't use that terminology. Healthy foods make me have more energy, make me want to do better in my workouts versus like having a big pizza and having, a couple of beers. The next day I feel like ass during my workout, right? So you start to learn that over time. You start to understand your hunger cues. You start to understand what your body needs, right? And that's super important to be in tune with yourself. You're slowing down when you eat, and you take your time and you let it settle and give yourself a few minutes and stop when you're full, right? So some of those things are super important. Ooh, I love this one. Number 3 is don't self-justify, okay? So when you realize that you have made that unhealthy choice, don't rationalize it, right? And instead take a look at what's going on in your life and what are the things that are making you think, okay, it's okay that I have this treat. Like I know for me, when I do really well on the scale and then all of a sudden I say to myself, I can eat this because I lost, 1/8 of a pound today, or I'm having this gain or whatever, and you rationalize it, right? Like I've been good all week, so I can do this, right? Instead of thinking about it in a different way. And then when you start to really analyze some of those patterns in yourself, then you can start to correct them, right? So like we talk about the bad on the weekends, doing the bad habits on the weekends, like how can I change this, right? So for me, what I ended up starting to do was I would undereat or eat 100% on plan, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would literally eat back all the calories and more. So what I started to say to myself was, what if I could also not do Fridays? What if I could be on plan Fridays too? And that would eliminate one day. And then what I started to do was over time say, okay, now I got Friday under control. And so now I'm going to eat really well and on plan Saturday morning and Saturday for lunch and plan my treats on Saturday nights. And I don't really count. I don't really care on Saturdays because it's just one meal instead of a whole weekend, right? And then Sundays, I'm right back to it. Did it happen overnight? No. And of course, there are weekends where that's not at all possible. And you have events and things that happen. But my mentality is that I'm just the next meal, I'm going back to where I was, or I'm getting better every single time. And I'm not dwelling on, oh, I ate way too many cookies this weekend and gave myself a stomach ache and I feel terrible and I shouldn't have done that. Get over it, move on. You can't change the past. The next meal, the next day is where you can make traction and make change, right? So you can address that. Okay. So I also put a really great article at the top of the page. So many of you guys know that I am a certified precision nutrition coach. So I get some really great articles from these guys. And it's How I Quit Overeating on the Weekend. And it's written by Kristen Scott Dixon, and she is a PhD, but she's got some more strategies. And I think that you might find some similarities if you're struggling with this too. Of course, if you have questions, please don't forget to ask. The other thing that I'm going to be doing, this kind of ties in, is I'm going to be running a free Macros 101 nutrition workshop next week, and it's the basics. Sometimes people need to find the path that works for them when it comes to nutrition, and I feel like I've found so much freedom and flexibility with food by looking at the numbers and counting how many macronutrients I'm eating and all of that stuff. It really just works for me. It doesn't set me in this square. It allows me to say I can have pizza, I can have this, and it fits right into my plan of what my body needs. and I'm going to show you guys how to calculate that stuff and what macros are, and really just talk about it all week long. So that's a free group that I'm running next week. If you're interested in joining us, please let me know. Drop a message below or send me a message, a comment, and I'll get with you and I will add you into the group. I'm super excited to be able to share my gifts with you guys in there. I've been loving the idea of teaching macros, and I'm getting so much. My clients are asking for it, and so I want to put this out there to invite you to join us too. Okay, so grab that article, message me if you want to be a part of our group, and I will see you guys over the weekend.